3, 2, 1. Conference time. So just getting back from Panama and missed everybody. It's good to be back. Our next trip, I think we should take everybody with us.
Yes.
A big Shala party. So there wasn't any conference last week, but catching up with where we were studying the 8 limbs because we're on chapter 11 of our book, and this was the book called Heart of Yoga by Desikachar. So chapter 11 is called Living in the World, which is perfect timing for us with, we were saying, everything that's kind of going on in our world right now, that we are able to use our yoga actually is a place where we come, like for tonight, for 1 hour to do our yoga practice, but this is a place that we're going to come to take care of ourselves and to really impact every other part of our life. So the 8 limbs that we're studying always start with the Yamas and the Niyamas. So what were the Yamas? Yeah, Mary's here. So how we show up in the world. And there were all these great little jewels of how we do our yamas. What were just some of them? And you can just say them in English. What were some of the yamas? So not being violent, being loving and compassionate. What were some other of the yamas? Being truthful. Brahmacharya, being good in relationships. And I was saying that for me, I kind of see these different aspects of the yamas sort of universal as sort of little compasses. You know, I was thinking about that as a compass for us and what that really means. And my thought was, we don't use compasses anymore. But there was a time where if you didn't have a compass, you were in big trouble because you pulled your compass out to show you where was north. And if you were lost, your compass would help you find your way. And if you wanted to go somewhere, it was going to point you in the right direction. And if you needed to know where you were, you'd pull your compass out and it would show you. Now we have Google Maps, thank goodness, right, to help us find our way. But it's a beautiful analogy for us to think of the yamas sort of as these basic truths that are like little compasses that we pull out sometimes to help us find our way when we wake up in the morning and life starts like this. Boom. We're off and running and life's crazy and busy and we're stressed sometimes and we're trying to get everything done and in survival mode. And sometimes we might feel a little bit like we've lost our way or, what's it all about or just, scattered. And so thinking in terms of that, it's like we use our yoga mat to help us find that compass of like, what am I doing? Where am I going? Where is this all headed? Where have I just been? So same with the niyamas. So what are the niyamas? What? Mary's answering all the questions today, and I know you guys know what the niyamas are. What are they? So if the yamas are how you are in the world, then the niyamas are how you are with yourself. Leah got that one. So, and the same thing, there are 5 different aspects of the niyamas that give us kind of a little bit of direction on how do we take care of ourselves? What's going on with ourselves? It's kind of like our internal psychology, So different aspects of the niyamas were, what were a couple of them? Sausha, cleanliness, samtosha, contentment, svadhyaya, self-study, getting close to yourself. What else? Ishvari Pranadana, which was sort of surrendering to things. All these beautiful, just again, ways for us to, and I gave you guys some questions a week before I left for Panama on what is your garden? Where is your water? From our Native American prayer to kind of stop and reflect a little bit of, are you taking care of yourself? And how are you taking care of yourself? And how are you nourishing yourself? We went to Panama and the book we read was Mind Lift, which is going to be something we're going to read early next year. And one of the things we did at the end of our 6 days together and through this book is we sort of take a little 30-day commitment to ourselves and what we wanted to bring into our lives. And one of the things that I had set out was I was going to be out in the water more and touch the water more. So I went yesterday for a swim, and I went today for a swim too, and I thought, this is how I take care of myself. It's simple. It only takes 15 minutes or half an hour, but we all know that there are ways we take care of ourselves, and sometimes we just get off our path, you know, and we need our little compasses. We need our yoga, this place to remind us of what we need to do to stay on that path and take care of ourselves. The really cool thing I love about this practice is that, you know, we're talking about these things like how you show up in the world and how you take care of yourself. When people hear yoga or see yoga, or they ask you, oh, you do yoga? They don't think of that, right? They imagine you twisting your body in strange positions and standing on your head, and all these things are yoga, but it's interesting that we start our understanding of yoga through these first two limbs. And this morning I was saying, you know, that I always think of Mushika when I think of this, who is, you guys know who Mushika is? Here he does. It's Ganesh, our beautiful elephant, right? He has a way of traveling, which might surprise you. He travels on a little mouse called Mushika. So if you see, usually at the bottom of most depictions of Ganesh, there's like this little mouse next to him, like his buddy. You know, like unlikely friendships or something, but actually Mushika is how he travels, how he gets around. And so I said, whenever I think of my yoga practice, I think of the asana practice, our yoga postures, like doing all these poses and stuff, is the vehicle. It is the car that I drive to get to where I'm going. And where I'm going is the yamas and the niyamas. It's how I show up in the world, and it's how I treat myself. You know, and my yoga takes me there as this like vehicle to get me to just coming here today and doing these breaths and these movements together. It's a beautiful thing, keeps my body strong, keeps me flexible, but really what it does is it just makes me a better version of myself out there, having these compasses to help me sort of stay on course. So this week what we are studying is a little bit of the quote for this week, which Mary's going to have to bring me here in a second, is from a very famous psychologist from Hungary that was a professor in Chicago named Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, and he did the biggest ever research study on a little something called happiness. And he looked at people from all different countries, all different cultures, different ages, different professions, motorcycle gang guys and housewives and everyone, to find out what makes us tick, what makes us happy. And what do you think that he discovered? Anybody that's familiar with this big breadth of research that he did?
It wasn't things.
It wasn't things, and it wasn't happenings. So it wasn't like if you got the right job, if you got the promotion, if you lived in the bigger house, you got the car you always wanted, married the right person. He found that happiness was not associated with any of these things. So what comes out of this? What does this mean? Like, so it doesn't marry a cruddy person, or don't give a crap about your car, or, you know. What was the result? What came out of this? What makes us happy? Yes.
How we see things.
Really, how you see things and how you internalize things that happen to you. So it wasn't so much whether you got this job or that job as much as how you really interpreted that and how you took that on. So again, I come back to, that's what we're talking about. The asana is your mushika, it's your vehicle to the yamas and the niyamas, and it just takes you back to this very internal place where we get stronger and we realize that we are in control of our own happiness. You know, when you wake up in the morning, you might be met with all kinds of challenges before you hit your first hour of the day. But that's not what's important. What's important is really how you're going to deal with that. So here's our quote from Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi. He said, "What I discovered," and this was from his research, "was that happiness is not something that happens. It is not the result of good fortune or random chance. It is not something that money can buy or power can command. It does not depend on outside events, but rather on how you interpret them. Happiness, in fact, is a condition that must be prepared for, cultivated, and defended privately by each person. People who learn to control their inner experiences will be able to determine the quality of their lives, which is as close as any of us can come to being happy. So let's cultivate a little happiness for the next hour doing some breath and movement. Namaste. Samastitihi.